Good morning. Welcome back to Badger Rock Middle School. We are here for another episode of our virtual workshop series. We're out here in the garden. We're in the back of our garden actually, and we're here today with our main star attraction. We have our elderberry flower, our elderberry shrub or tree, whichever one you want to call it. These ones we planted a few years ago, and as you can see, they've really taken off. They're going wild right now. They got tons of flowers coming out right here. And this is actually going to be what we're harvesting today. We're going to be harvesting the elderberry flower, or the elder flowers is what we're going to be harvesting. Sorry. I keep saying elderberry, but the elderberries are what's going to come next after the flowers go. But we want to take these before they start to go through the seeding process. So we're trying to get them while they're still nice and white, fluffy. Some might even call it like a creamy color. But yeah, ideally, from what I've read, we don't want to harvest these as much when it's really wet out. But this is when we're filming the workshop today. We did have some rain last night, so there is a little bit of moisture on these today. But that's all right. It just kind of helps with the drying process. I guess when you dry these, if you're going to dry them for future use, they just might lose some of their like white color is pretty much what I've heard. So just try to harvest them when they're a little more dry, and they'll keep that white color throughout their drying process. But yeah, for elderflowers, you can cut them and then you can either dry them, save them for later. You can make teas out of them. You can do all kinds of different infusions. One thing we're going to be working on today with our classes, we're going to be making some elderflower fritters as well as some elderflower cordial, which is kind of like a sweet syrup, elderflower flavored syrup. And then you can add that to all kinds of different things like carbonated water, mineral water, or if you like it, you can put in maybe some like wine or sparkling champagne or like some champagne or something. Add that little florally sweet flavor to it. But yeah, that's what we're going to be making today. We'll after this little section of harvesting, we're going to be going up to our kitchen. We're going to show you how to make the elderflower cordial actually. But for right now, we're going to focus on harvesting. So if you want to come a little closer, Kaylin, you can see our flowers here. We have a couple in different stages. So this is the one we're going to be mainly working on. You can see all the flowers are still intact. Some of them are starting to shrink, starting to go towards the seeding process. Kind of like these ones over here. So you can see a few different stages. This one's got some flowers left on it. You can see all the little green nodes coming in. So that's where all the seeds are going to start coming in. All the berries are going to start coming in. And then this one right here, you can see it's already got a lot of green berries starting to come in. So these are the elderberries right here. And these will be ready in probably about end of summer or so. And then, yeah, elderberries along with elderflowers too, packed with antioxidants, a lot of vitamin C in the elderberries. Um, good or a big note with elderberries, especially even though we're using the flowers today. Elderberries do have a toxin in them, but only when they're consumed raw. So that's why you need to cook them in order for them to be edible, as well as the seeds. We don't want to eat the seeds in them, so that's what we're trying to avoid mainly, is where all the toxins are. But yeah, we'll probably do another workshop on that later this season once they're ready. But today we'll focus on our flowers. So when harvesting your flowers, you can do it in a couple different ways. Easiest way is just snipping them off. I'll show you that in a second. But sometimes just going underneath them, if you give them a little shake, there's a lot of loose flowers that'll just start falling off. So if you don't want to completely take out all your flowers, if you're trying to save them for berries, you can kind of just knock these off a little bit and you'll start getting some flowers into your bowl. So that's one way. If you're trying to conserve it, if you don't have a ton of them, if you have a pretty new plant still coming in. But as you can see, we have a ton of elderflowers here. Huge bush, huge shrub, a lot of new growth this year as well. So I don't think we're going to mind taking a few flowers that use for our class as well as just for just some of our medicines and everything. So if you want to come a little closer again. So since this flower's got a couple different nodes coming out of it, we're just going to go right to where it meets the stem. We're just going to take off this whole big piece right here. So here's our big elderflower, almost as big as my head. Yeah. So we'll collect a couple more of these as well for our cordial. The cordial, the one we're going to be making, makes about a liter's worth. Actually, 2 liters worth is the one we're going to be making, but we're going to be using that for our classes as well as maybe for a dinner we're going to be having up at Troy Farms. Take a look at our upcoming events we're having. A lot of good stuff happening soon. But yeah, we're going to be taking quite a few of these, maybe about 10 to 20 of them, depending on how large of a batch we want to make. But yeah, that's pretty much about it for harvesting. And then for drying as well, kind of like most teas or anything, you want to try to get as much moisture out as you can initially. Again, these are kind of wet from the rain, so we'll probably try to shake these out a little more. Maybe even throw them in front of a fan or like a light little breeze of air coming through. Usually, put them on like a wire rack so they have airflow going underneath them and over them. Trying to dry them out as much. Another thing to remember is that because we're outside, there is a lot of bugs sometimes. Elderflowers do have like tiny little bugs in their flowers, so they're trying to get that sweet nectar as well. So just try to remember, shake those out, rinse them, wash them out a little bit, let them sit out for a while, and a lot of those bugs will eventually just come out. But, sometimes you can't get them all. That's just how it is sometimes. But that's for the most part for drying. And then storage, obviously, kind of like teas. You just want to put them in a nice airtight container. Little to no moisture at all, so we don't want to have any molding or anything like that. And yeah, that's basically the harvesting, storing them, drying them. If you want to use them for future use, for our cordial too, it'll last. You can also freeze that too. Just one little fun fact that I kind of was just reading about earlier. Didn't really occur to me, but for all of you Harry Potter fans out there, if you know about the Elder Wand, this is where the Elder Wand gets its name from. It's because the wood it's made from is from the elder tree. So these are very respected plants, a lot of good medicinal use, and yeah, we're looking forward to using them in our recipes and in our programming today. So with that, I'll come back to you in just a little bit. We'll be back in our kitchen, so we'll catch you there in just a little bit. Hello, we're back up in our kitchen here at Badger Rock Middle School. We were just outside. We harvested our elderflowers, so we're coming up here to make our elderflower cordial. So elderflower cordial, it's basically just like, I want to kind of simplify it as like a simple syrup that's just infused with elderflowers, so it has that flavor as well as all the nutrients and all the good stuff in there as well. So we're going to be making that today. And actually, we're going to be making this with our classes today, too. So we're looking forward to trying this out with them and seeing what our elementary school kids have in store for it. So here's our elderflower. So just going over just kind of how we're going to prepare it. I already did a lot of the work ahead of time. We have 3 lemons here. We have an orange. I zested all of those already. And we're going to also use the juice from all of them. We have a little bit of citric acid. This is going to help prolong the shelf life of our cordial, as well as add a little bit of acidity, a little bit of flavor to it also. And then what's the last thing? Oh, sugar as well, but sugar will actually come at a later stage. This is kind of a longer process. It's going to take a little bit while, so we won't be able to cover everything in this video. We might do a little movie magic and cut to the end product a little bit later. But for now, we're just going to do how to get started with it. So we have our elderflowers here. I already got a lot of them already put into our big bowl right here, our big pot. So we're going to be making a pretty big batch. This is going to make about 2 liters or so is what our recipe calls for. So basically, just for getting our elderflowers prepared, I'm just going to take a little stem off just to kind of show you. So we don't want to use the stems as much. There is some toxin still left in the stems, so you want to try to avoid, especially the big parts. Some of the littler ones, there's not as much in there, so if they get caught in there, not as big of a deal. But just coming through, we want to just kind of pop off our flower tops, our flower heads. These they kind of look like a little umbrella almost, call them the umbrels. But just popping off all the flowers off the umbrels as best we can. Getting those in there. And again, if you want to rinse these out a little bit, kind of tap them out. Again, there can be some bugs left over in here. So, not the biggest deal if they get a few left in there. We are boiling this, and then, just the stomach acid in our stomach is going to kill them no matter what. So not worried about them really surviving through this process. But we already got quite a few umbrels in here. I might just add a few more extra just for good measure. Again, this recipe calls for about 25 flower heads. And we were a little wondering about what counts as a flower head. There's a big section of umbrels that's like this big, whereas one maybe umbrel this is what we're going to use as one flower head. So about 25 of these big little clusters on here. So we're just popping these off, getting the rest of them in. All right, and then we're going to juice our lemons and our orange as well. So we'll get these going real quick. Yeah, I already zested all of them, so I don't got to worry about that right now. Put these over here. And yeah, really looking forward to trying this out. Again, you can always put this, or it's going to be like a syrup. It's going to be very sweet. A lot of sugar is going to go into this. But don't be afraid, you're not going to be drinking just a straight syrup. You're going to be adding this to either like sparkling water, you could add just a regular water too. Or if you want to have a little drink on the side, you could have a little champagne or a little wine to add it to it. And yeah, it's going to be really good. I'd say probably about, with how much sugar we're putting in it, again, it's going to be super sweet. So I think the ratios we're talking about is like 1 to 5 to 1 to 10, depending on how sweet you want it to be. So 1 part the cordial, and then 5 parts sparkling water or whatever other kind of liquid you're going to be using for it. So just trying to get this all prepared. So yeah, we got the juice of all these lemons, juice of the orange, all the zest, citric acid, and then we're going to add about 2 liters of water to this. Again, that's what we're going for, about how much cordial we'll actually end up making. And then, yeah, like I said, the process takes a little while. Kind of like whenever you're making, infusions or anything, the longer the time they're infused for, the more they're going to actually come through, or the flavor and everything's going to come through. So ideally, we're going to put this all together. There's going to be 2 liters of water, or flowers, orange, lemon zest, plus the juice, or citric acid. And then we're going to put this on the stove to boil for about, or just till it comes to a boil is all we're going to do. And then after that, we're just going to let it steep for about a couple hours. Ideally, if you can do it overnight, that's the best. Again, getting that best infusion possible. I got 1 orange, half juice. Probably still a little left in there, but we'll go with what we got. Yeah, we'll be making this with our Freedom Schools garden or summer programming this afternoon. That's been really fun, getting to work with elementary school kids from all over the area. Been able to do a lot of fun gardening activities with them, different stuff daily, making different recipes daily. Yeah, it's really fun when we get to show them some medicinal plants, as well as some really tasty ones, but also that they can have some really good beneficial traits to them as well. So let's try and get a little extra of this juice out of here. All right, and then I got all my zest. Here's my lemon zest. Here's my orange zest. So I'll add that to the pot as well. Perfect. Add our water. And then for citric acid, we just need about 1 tablespoon, maybe a little extra. I think in our recipe it calls for 1 heaping spoonful of citric acid, so I'll do a little heaping spoonful. Add that to the mix. Give it a little mix around. All right. So we have everything in our pot. We're just going to put this on the stove now to come to a boil. Yep. And then once it comes to a rolling boil, or just boils up, then you can turn the heat off, and we'll cover it, and then we'll just let this steep for at least a couple hours. I'd say maybe 3 to 4 hours minimum. Well, preferably, but best suited if you can do it overnight. Obviously, getting all that good flavor, all the essences of it coming through into our cordial. But once you get that done, the next process would be to strain it. Probably using like a metal sieve, or maybe even some cheesecloth, trying to get all the flowers and all the plant material out, anything that's left over in there. And then once you have that, then that's when the sugar is going to come into play. So once you have everything strained out, you're going to add it back to a pan or back to the pot. Let it come to a boil, and then you're going to add in all your sugar then, and then turn it down from boil so it's not boiling with all the sugar. And then you're just going to let it simmer for about 5 minutes or so. Again, just so we can have all that sugar dissolve, so it becomes like a nice, really good syrup. And while it's still hot, that's when you can bottle it. You can use it then as well. We'll probably use it pretty fresh, so I think it'll probably be pretty warm when we use it. But again, we're gonna put on some ice, put on some sparkling water. Sparkling mineral water will even be a little better. Add some extra minerals into your system. But yeah, that's our plan for it. If you guys have anything else that you were looking to try, or maybe have a different recipe you're looking to try with it, or just add it to something else, let us know in the comments. We'll also put the recipe in the comments too. We'll get to that soon. But yeah, that's the majority of making the cordial. Again, we'll let you know how it goes. We'll see if maybe we can add a little extra video of how it turns out in the end. But I think for now, that's about all we got. So I just want to say thank you and hope you enjoyed this. I forgot to mention, it is July 2nd right now, so it's the beginning of July. Right now is when all the elderflowers are kind of at their peak. They're going to start turning over and kind of going into the berry stage now. So hopefully you guys, or hopefully you all have some time to get some elderflowers while they're still good, and hopefully give this a try, or just whatever other kind of recipes you have or uses for your elderflowers. But that's all I got for now. So we will see you next time, and thanks again for watching.